nothing's worth rushing for. Make sure you get home safe to your loved ones tonight and stay around for the holiday season. Joining us on the phone lines, as he does every day, from Life South is Galen Unall, brought to you by the good folks at Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, Penn Flooring, and Just Ship. Galen, good morning to you.
Hey, what's going on, Tom? How are you today?
You know, I had a bunch of knuckleheads on the interstate this morning. There was a wreck that was clearing on the northbound side, so the southbound side decided to rubberneck in the fog, so you can't see a dadgum thing, but they tried to. And then while everybody's rubbernecking and hitting their brakes, two guys in a BMW and a Mercedes decide that they want to try to jockey and race each other for the inside lane at about 90 miles an hour. So, you know, just morons everywhere this morning on the interstate.
You know, it's that time of the year. For some reason, I see more accidents at this time of the year than at any other time. And it doesn't help that the interstates are really starting to fill up already. So, yeah, just be a little smarter, and I guess I'm talking to myself, and then just slow it down a little bit. But it gets crazy. Next week will be really bad, and the week after that will be really bad. So, yeah, just be smart.
Today is a very important day if you are around the airport or something today. This day in history, December 17th, 1903, was the day that Wilbur and Orville took turns piloting and monitoring their flying machine in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. That was the morning that the brothers became the first people to demonstrate sustained flight of a heavier-than-air machine. We know them as airplanes now, but is airplanes the ability to fly, for humans to fly in machines that are heavier than air, is that probably one of the 3 or 4 best inventions in the history of mankind?
3 or 4? I don't think so. I don't think it's that high.
I mean, it's not the wheel.
Well,
it's not fire. Wasn't able to control fire.
No. The printing press is probably, in my opinion, it's by far and away the greatest invention man has ever created.
The Gutenberg press,
knowledge. Yeah, it passed knowledge from generation to generation. We went from a word-of-mouth society to a society that you could write down your thoughts and share them, and then the next person could take them to another step.
Yeah, because up until that point, up until the printing press, the only way that books and all got made from where they were handwritten by monks.
Correct. Right. Well, and there were very few people who could read and write. So the printing press for me is number one, and it's not close. And then number 2, you know, now are we talking about the manufacturing of tools? Are we talking about bronze? And then, you know, our ability to make tools that way? Or are we going with the wheel? The boat was a much, much bigger invention than the airplane. Yeah, I mean, it's up there. I don't even know if it's in my top 10.
The airplane did not make world travel possible. It just made world travel possible faster.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you know, the boat is I think the boat is one of those underrated things that people are like, wait a second. Not only, you know, because think about how much better it was than the raft, right?
Yeah.
The sails and its ability to take on heavy seas, and we now know that there were boats, you know, 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. So the boat's way up there. There's many believe that the boat existed before the wheel. So I put the boat way up there.
What about where would you put things like, because it was antiquated once the phone came along and all, but like the telegraph system, because it was the first that was mass communication along long distances.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things that changed the world, because if you think about all of the inventions that are created now, it makes the world smaller. Like the airplane made the world smaller.
The radio made the world smaller.
The train, you know, the steam engine was so important as a society. Yeah, I mean, the telegraph was very, very important. Very important. Yeah.
Well, once they
then,
put the wires under the ocean, it actually linked Europe and America. It actually linked continents.
And then where do you put something like the cotton gin that really made people incredibly rich, or the gun, the gunpowder. Where does gunpowder rank? Right, because without gunpowder, we don't have roads. And there's things like that. The airplane's not in my top 10.
It would be in your top 10. It would be in your top 10 of 20th century inventions, but not inventions of all time. Maybe, because again, what we know as the airplane today is because of a lot of other creations, right? Yeah.
Aluminum would be way up on the list, and our ability to use it, and that was a 20th century thing. Plastics are, without plastics today, we would probably die in a society in about 2 months.
Well, that's what who was the guy? Sam Wainwright. That's what he told George. You should get involved with it. It's a Wonderful Life. Was plastics, and his dad ended up opening a plant in Rochester. Sam Wainwright made all that money from plastics.
Yeah, I mean, again, without plastic, we would be dead because our car would just completely disintegrate. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little things that people really take for granted that have just changed our society as a whole.
The telephone. We hadn't even mentioned the telephone, or the handheld computers that we now call telephones.
Sure. Well, that is a series of inventions that we just improved on. That to me isn't an invention; it's a technology. Can we give Gene Roddenberry credit
for the setting the idea for the phone and the cell phone in order, because the original flip phones looked just like communicators from Star Trek.
Well, the creators of the cellular towers admitted that the idea sprang from watching Star Trek. So, of course, yeah. But the one thing about science fiction writing is it's really the future writing. The space shuttle was based on Star Trek.
Yes.
Some of the drawings from in the writings of some science fiction writers.
The bad thing is, some science fiction, the bad thing about it is next year is what year? 2022? For all those that are wondering, that's the year that the movie Soylent Green was about, 2022. So, just putting that out there. You thought 2020 and 2021 was bad. You go see that movie. You see the movie Soylent Green. You're not going to like 2022 either.
Maybe they'll make a comeback.
We'll see.
Yeah, and let's not underestimate democracy and the invention and the idea. I don't know if that's an idea, but democracy.
John Locke's writings.
John Locke's writing. But John,
the Magna Carta itself.
But again, all of those were able to be shared easier because of the printing press. So that idea of thought, none of that would be possible without the printing press. So there's a lot out there. That's an interesting thing.
We got to take a break. We'll come back more with Galen Unoff from Life South at this time out on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Are you wasting time boxing up packages and going to the post office or the UPS store? Are you tired of not knowing what you'll pay when you get there? Just Ship offers pickup service and flat rate packaging and postage rates, which takes the guesswork out of shipping while saving you time and money. So quit wasting valuable time and money. Call or text Just Ship at 352-234-3840. That's 352-234-3840. Just Shipped.
Are you or your loved one being released from a hospital and wondering how you'll manage? Inform your physician that you want to go to Palm Garden of Ocala at 2700 Southwest 34th Street for your rehabilitation. Palm Garden provides pain management, post-discharge follow-up, diabetic care, psychosocial support, and so much more. Plus, they even offer outpatient rehab. This award-winning care facility has a team of licensed professionals dedicated to enhancing your independence. Call 352-854-6262 today.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Friday. Galen Enoff from Life South joins us. He does every morning, brought to you by Penn Flooring, Just Shipped, and Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center. Galen, we were talking about inventions and everything, but you know, when it comes to sports, when you talk about inventions of sports and everything, I think the simplistic attitude of James Naismith when he invented the peach basket game, putting it on the wall, that was an invention that led to kids being able to, in the masses, play a sport because you didn't need much. You needed one ball and two peach baskets. Because baseball, you had to have bats and gloves by the time the turn of the century. Football didn't have helmets originally, but they had shoulder pads and stuff. But James Naismith and his invention of basketball was able to give a sport to the United States, a lot like soccer was to the world, that you needed very limited ability. You needed very limited equipment to play the game. So I think when it comes to economics and all, that may be one of the best sports that's invented in the United States. I'm not a big fan of it, but the simplicity of it goes a long way in why basketball is so popular, I think.
Well, I think it's important to note that Naismith didn't invent basketball. What he invented were the rules.
Right. He put rules to the game, right.
The game of, throwing the ball in a hoop has been around for
Indians
centuries.
had played it for centuries.
Absolutely. But and again, you know this. If you put 6 kids in a room, right, and you give them enough space, they will create with absolutely nothing. They will create a game within an hour, right?
Oh yeah.
It's just how kids work, and again, that's how their brains are functioning, and that's how our society moves forward.
You're entirely correct. I took a game when I was on room restriction a lot as a kid, and I invented games because my mom would always let me have a deck of cards and a writing pad, my books and everything. So I invented this game when I was a kid. My sister brought it up the last time she was here visiting. She goes, "You still play that game?" I go, "I haven't played that game in years, but I remember the rules to it and everything." And it's very easy. I wrote every NFL team down and folded their names up in pieces of paper and put them in a hat. And then I had a deck of cards. I'd pull 2 teams out, and they'd play each other in a game. That was the football game. High card won the game, and you'd move on to the next 2. And I'd play a full 14-week schedule with the playoffs and the Super Bowl and everything, sitting in my room with a piece of paper, a pencil, a hat, and a deck of cards. But it kept me busy while I was in there, and it's something that I invented in my brain just to pass time, and I could play it right now and pass time, and it wouldn't bother me.
Yeah, and I think that is something that our society is missing.
Sorely missing.
Is just the ability to just do nothing, right? And the ability to create something out of nothing from pure imagination. I think that, you want to think out of the box, well, then don't give them a box. So, it's just completely changed, and our society just doesn't do that very much anymore.
It's because we don't require children to do that anymore.
No. It's the adults get in the way of it.
Right. That's exactly what I mean. The adults get in the way because they overshadow and they sit right on a kid's shoulder. That kids don't have a chance, and the way I see it these days, kids don't have a chance to have the ability to create like we did. Because
right.
the adults are micromanaging them so much these days.
Let's say I ran a daycare or something, right? A bunch of 6-year-olds, and I was like, look, for an hour, I just throw 6 of them in this room and let them figure it out. The parents would go nuts. But again, that's a part of where our society is at. And with coronavirus, with that separation, without children being able to talk to children, that has made a big impact on our society, and we won't feel this impact for decades. So we're even though you're starting to see more and more of the science come out about how this generation of elementary schools is further behind than the previous decade, and standard testing scores are way down from 2 years ago, and you're starting to see the ramifications of not being able to see people and be able to read their emotions. That's part of it. That's part of it, and we've got to the point where. And look, I love kids. I have 2 of them. I would do anything for my kids, and I think that's part of civilization. But at the same time, we've gotten to the point where we don't allow our kids to fail, and that's probably a bigger issue because you have to learn how to fail, right? And we allow our kids to fail anymore.
Look,
that's a participation trophy issue.
I remember, you and I both remember.
Our kids fail.
I remember vividly that you went out for football or baseball, even at the little league level, for football, baseball, basketball. You got cut. You ended up at the house. You didn't play. That happened. Hey, by the way, Michael Jordan got cut off his high school basketball team.
That's not true. He got cut from he played JV instead of varsity.
That's what I mean. He got in the 9th grade. He was good enough to play varsity. But his coach said 9th graders don't play varsity at my high school and put him on the JV team.
Well, that story's been manipulated. His team went to the state Final Four without him as a freshman. So his team was pretty good. But,
his team was pretty good.
He wouldn't have gotten enough playing time.
Right.
He wouldn't have gotten enough playing time, and the coach wanted him to get playing time at JV. But it's a good story. I didn't mean to get in the way of it. But the point is, he was good enough to play varsity. The coach just thought he'd be better suited for JV. That's really what it was. Sure.
Whereas, I when I played football in the 9th grade, I was on the varsity squad, and I never went down and played lower. There were guys that played JV and varsity, but But I do remember vividly the worst feeling I've ever had in sports in my life, and I remember it today like it was yesterday. Coach Robert Amium, I was in the 6th grade at St. Patrick's Catholic. Coach Robert Amium cut me from the boys' fast pitch softball team because if somebody bothered me, I'd blow up and I'd throw baseballs and bats and everything. I was a sore loser. I was a pitiful little kid with a bad attitude. And I was better than everybody except Murray Olson and David Verchek. I was better than anybody else in that tryout. And I got cut because he looked at me and said, "Son, talent don't make the man. Sometimes talent ain't enough to get you along. You're not on my softball team." And he cut me off the team. It still to this day resonates with me. Kids don't have that opportunity to have a coach tell them, sometimes it ain't about talent, son. Sometimes it's about attitude. And in many school systems you're not allowed to cut players. I know.
And that's the kind of thing. It's like, okay, so it's not. What are we doing then? I mean, and what's the point of getting any better?
My dad blames it on 1970, the YMCA. He said 1970 the YMCA introduced T-ball and soccer, and everybody got to play and everybody got a trophy. And the kids that were 5, 6, 7 years old then are my age now. They're grandparents. So it's 3 generations of people that think you're supposed to get everybody gets a chance to play and everybody gets a trophy.
I think up to a certain age, I think everybody should get a chance to play. I do believe that. Like if you're 10, the way you look at 10 isn't the way you're going to look at 18. And we joke about this all the time. My oldest son, he peaked in baseball at the age of 11 because everybody started getting bigger than him. But he was a smart player and he did all the fundamentals right, but he was never very strong.
So he's coach material. Coach material.
Right. Well, it's because his dad worked with him every single day, and that's why he was better than most of the people around him. But he didn't even play high school baseball. And again, I think everybody should play up until high school, and then at high school should matter. High school should be a higher level. And now, if you look at all of these teams where there are no cuts in football, there are no cuts in basketball anymore. What they say now is if you show up, you'll be on the team. And that, to me, is a participation.
That's counterproductive. So, the kids that got cut off the football team, ended up being football managers.
Well, you can't. You know why you don't cut them now is because you don't have enough dressed out anyway.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of what's going on with sports as a whole. I think fewer and fewer, and again, this goes back to the schools don't really care if you play a sport. That's why they have. They're trying to make other ways for you to participate. So when they remove it, it won't be that big a deal. But again, sports in our school systems, I've been saying it for a while, will be dead in 10 to 20 years.
Oh,
you'll see.
It'll be travel
wrestling.
teams, AAU, stuff like that.
And private schools.
Right.
Private schools will continue because parents who want their child to play sports will go to a private school.
Legion ball, stuff like that is what you'll see as the predominant way to do it.
Played perfect example. Vanguard played Bellevue last night in basketball, right? There were maybe 150 people in the stands. Maybe. And school is still in session.
Right.
Yes, it's a Thursday night, but you look at that game 10 years ago, sold out. Right? There's 2,500 people in the Vanguard gym. Tonight it was all parents, and then players from the JV and freshman team and the cheerleaders.
Hey,
there are more cheerleaders than fans.
Hey, Galen, we got to go. So tell me where the Bloodmobile is today.
Hey, today we're out in Marion Oaks at the Winn-Dixie there, but as always, we're right on the boulevard. Check us out at lifesouth.org. The Bloodmobile is going to be everywhere this weekend. Look, this is the final stretch to Christmas, and our blood usage is going crazy because everybody's trying to get all their elective surgeries before the end of the year. So please donate blood. It saves 3 lives, and it is truly the gift of life.
Galen, I'll talk to you Monday.
All right, bye all.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
The social media platform President Trump tried to ban from the United States is now responsible for school closures and heightened alerts across the United States. President Trump in the summer of 2020.
We're looking at TikTok. We may be banning TikTok. We may be doing some other things. There are a couple of options, but a lot of things are happening, so we'll see what happens.
TikTokers are encouraging followers to make shooting and bomb threats against their schools today. TikTok is a monitored product of the communist Chinese government. Santa Fe, New Mexico police obtained a search warrant Thursday authorizing them to take Alec Baldwin's cell phone as part of an investigation into the deadly shooting on the set of Rust. Mr. Baldwin shot and killed a cinematographer on October 21st while rehearsing a scene. The actor claims the gun malfunctioned and shot on its own. For more information, visit us online at usaradio.com. We are USA Radio News.
It may feel like age is just a number, but the fact is, even if you're healthy and active, your immune system weakens as you get older. And if you're 65